Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker, and you are listening to Picks and Pours, episode 32. And we are celebrating 8 years of MMA on the Rocks as of roughly around this time. I'm not sure the exact date. The very first episode is still lost in the annals of history somewhere. It can't be found on any platforms, and that's probably for the best because this show started out more under the influence than over the top. And that first episode was not the prettiest. I wasn't having my finest moment, but it was sometime around UFC 200 that the podcast started. And believe it or not, that was 8 years ago. So happy anniversary to me, I guess. Along the way, we've picked up this new Picks and Pours segment, which I'm realizing I misspelled in the title here. So tonight it's Picks and Hours, episode 32. But speaking of picked, along this 8-year journey, I picked up a new co-host for this segment who gives his bets every week, coming from all the way across town, Matt the Mechanic. What's going on, Matt?
Not much. I'm dealing with a bit of a broken wheel this week, Bill. I'm blaming it on wrestling. Tuesday at the gym, we did some wrestling, and I woke up yesterday and I just couldn't walk.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So I've hobbled around for the last 2 days, and now I have all those compensation pains. So we're gonna get through this, but wrestling sucks.
I mean, you're into your late 30s now. What are you doing wrestling?
Not getting takedowns, that's for sure.
Were you just drilling takedowns?
No. Actually, I don't think the wrestling. We did do some live wrestling, and I did well for what I think I can do. I did better than that, but I actually think my foot got injured when we were doing situational sparring, and I kind of threw up a triangle on a white belt, and I mistakenly grabbed my foot instead of my leg because I was just kind of. But I wasn't trying to finish it, I was trying to let him get out, but he just exploded upward, and I think that's what popped my foot.
Man, white belts are the fucking worst.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it nice and loose, so but man, just gotta quit being nice.
Yeah, I used to do that. I used to always let the white belts work, and I wouldn't tap them. I would just let them work out of everything. But fuck all that, man. Now I'll just smash some white belts. You gotta let them know.
Yeah. So
don't give them an opportunity to hurt you.
Yeah, congratulations on the 8 years. I've been listening, I think, for 6. I mean, what year is this? 2000. Are you sure it's not longer than that? 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so I must have been coming in the end of year 1. And you guys were doing pretty good at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I started it right before I moved down here. And that was in 2016. And it was June or July of 2016. Because I remember on the first episode, we talked about UFC 200. And I don't know if it was a preview to it or if we were recapping it. It was a long time ago, and there was a lot of beer and whiskey consumed on that episode.
Yeah, I remember walking into the gym and meeting you. You were a blue belt, I think, at that time. And I found out you had a podcast, and I was like, wow, I'm training with somebody who's famous.
And now here you are on that podcast, and now you're famous.
Yeah, famish.
So, don't let all this fame get to your head.
So it's been a while. How was your 4th of July?
It was good. We have a friend of ours. His birthday is right around the 4th of July, and they have a daughter who is our daughter's age, and they do a pool party every year. So a bunch of the kids, we go do the parade on Main Street, and then we go hit the pool, little barbecue. It was good. How was yours?
It was good. Same thing. Just we don't have kids, but we took the dog to a friend's pool, and
nice.
The guy just put the pool in, brand new pool, and I was like, man, I don't know. He's like, throw the dog in it. No one else is swimming, so Darce swam around in the pool. It was a good day.
Nice. Did you like it?
Oh yeah, he loves water.
That's good.
Anytime you can get him around water, including dirty ass mud puddles, he's going in. So it's fun to watch, and it also sucks when you're just trying to
It's,
go for a walk and he's rolling around in a puddle.
yeah, and then you got to give him a bath you didn't want to give.
Yeah, especially a puddle at the dog park, because what's in that?
Ugh. Ugh. Dog park puddle water.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That's got to.
Especially after a long, winter of no rain, and now we're getting all this rain. It's getting all the dog piss up.
Oh,
But
man.
hey, I see people have their kids playing in that, and I guess that's probably a good immune system boost. But
What kids are playing in the dog park puddles?
oh yeah, I mean they take their toddler to the dog park and they just puddles. You didn't do that as a kid?
Well, there weren't dog parks when I was a kid.
Well, no, I didn't go swimming in the dog park puddles either, but rain puddles. I mean,
Yeah, I'd play in rain puddles, but I don't know. There's like an extra gross factor when it's at the dog park, I
and
think.
to a 4-year-old, that doesn't exist.
Ugh. Oh man, that's making me gag a little bit. All right.
They're not drinking it.
Huh?
They're not. Well, maybe they are. I don't know.
Yeah. You never know. You can't trust these kids. Well, today's my last night in Florida for a while. Tomorrow morning, I am headed to the great city of Atlanta, Georgia, for about a week and a half. So, if anybody has recommendations, I've been to Atlanta many times because I do this market for my actual full-time job. We do this market twice a year, and but my job is basically to just go build all the furniture and set up the booth for this buyer's market, and then I just kind of fuck off in Atlanta with my daughter. We go to the zoo, which is awesome. The aquarium is amazing in Atlanta. But if anybody has any other recommendations, I'm always open. I'm probably gonna go to Six Flags.
I think if I were you, I'd just build the furniture, grab your daughter, and hightail it back to Pinellas County.
No way.
It's not that far.
It's like 7 hours, 8 hours.
Okay.
That's
You
a
could have brought
long
lunch.
That's a long drive for a 6-year-old.
Gee, she let her drive?
Yeah. Well, I'll be drunk.
Oh,
Somebody's got to drive. Got to be responsible. But no, we like hanging out in Atlanta. It was never a place that was like on my list of places I want to go, And even the first time we went, I was like, I don't want to do this. But there's some really awesome stuff there. There's some really great restaurants. The food scene is really cool. There's an amazing blues bar there called Blind Willie's, which I plan to go to again this time. I only went once, but it was incredible. I'm a big fan of blues music.
make sure you eat. They don't serve food anymore. Eat more.
Oh yeah. I think last time I went, we ate before, but yeah, that place. I love that place. It's like just a hole in a wall. Great live music. It's a good time.
Yeah, you recommended it, and I went there, and I actually just sent a guy that's up from work. He's up in Atlanta. I think he's going this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we have guys up there all the time, and it's nothing to do. It's boring.
Yeah. Maybe I'll see him at Blind Willie's.
Maybe.
I'll be like, hey, you look like an Audi mechanic.
he's a yeah. You'll know him. If you see him, you'll know him. He's the biggest guy in the room.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll keep an eye out for him then. So, all right, before we get into fights, let me talk about this bottle sitting in front of me that I'm super excited about. This is Sagamore Spirit, which is one of my new favorite distilleries. And this is their double oak rye. And ryes typically tend to be spicy because they have a content of at least 51% rye, which is a grain that is kind of spicy. This drinks like a sweet bourbon. It's got a little bit of spice on the back end, but it is super tasty. As you can tell, because I only bought this bottle like 2 weeks ago, and I've just basically been plowing through it. So I also tried their small batch. It's excellent. I plan on trying everything in their line. They only make rye for now, anyway. But they're based out of Maryland, and highly recommend this stuff. They're not a sponsor or anything. I just find it to be delicious. But the double oak so far is my favorite. You would really enjoy this one, Matt.
We'll try it. Save me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, even if I don't, I will definitely replenish this bottle when it runs out.
How much did you say it is?
This is under $60.
Okay.
And the small batch, I think, is like 40.
No, I'm still stuck on my Redwood Empire. That's my go-to.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Now that summer's hitting, the Redwood Empire with some frozen cherries in it. That was my go-to drink last summer. I know you're not a cherry guy, but
man, I don't know. I like put Diet Coke in it. No, I'm kidding.
All that aspartame makes the whiskey taste better. All right. Should we get into some fights here?
Well, should we talk about the Nate Diaz victory over the past weekend?
Is it a victory?
What
did he win? Was it a professional fight?
Yeah.
So he's now, what is he, 1-1 as a professional boxer?
Yep. Did you watch the fight?
No, not a bit.
Okay, you got to watch the fight before you have that opinion. Like, they both came in shape and they both came to fight. Like it felt like a real fight, not like this bullshit we've been dealing with, like with this celebrity boxing. And I know we're kind of sick and fed up with this celebrity boxing stuff, but this was an actual fight.
Okay.
I mean, I think someone forgot to tell Jorge that for the first 3 rounds, and that's why he lost, because he kind of took the first 3 off. They got just started running away, and then Masvidal couldn't catch back up.
How many rounds was the fight?
10.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty typical boxing strategy to throw away the beginning rounds. There's just too many rounds in boxing, which is why it's not that fun to watch.
I mean, it was the most entertaining boxing match I've saw in a while, but also I'm not Nate Diaz is my favorite fighter. But there's also an argument that Nate lost the fight, but Jorge landed much more with the power shots, but Nate's really good at, moving in the direction that making it look like it didn't get hit when you can tell he got hit. So
yeah, he's rolling with the punches.
Yep.
All right. Well, maybe I'll go back and give it a watch.
And I think they both won in their pocketbook too, because they co-promoted this fight and they sold out the Honda Center in Anaheim.
So Nate was a co-promoter and he bailed on the press conference.
But that's all. That was they had 15 press conferences.
Oh, okay.
They had 15 press conferences, and that made the headline. And the streamer idiot, and asking the question to piss Nate off. But that was obviously set up so Nate could get his tagline out, as his new tagline, which is "P.S. Fuck you."
P.S. Fuck you. I like that.
The guy's like, what are you gonna do when you get knocked out by Jorge? And he goes off on him. You know, my boys, and he goes on the whole long rant and stops and he goes, "P.S. Fuck you."
That's great, because P.S. is not something that's even used anymore. So I wonder if the new generation will even know what that is, because that's something you used when you had handwritten letters.
It made me chuckle.
Let me tell you, kids, back in my day, we would write handwritten letters. And if you had already signed the letter, but you still wanted to say something extra, you would write P.S. at the bottom.
And then P.S.S.
Yeah, P.S.S.
How weird is that? Why would you do that now looking back? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, if you wrote it in pen and you already signed it. It stands for postscript. In any case, here we got Rogue Strummer tuning into the show. What's up, Rogue? Too many clinches in boxing. Also, the judges should penalize them for trying to clinch too much.
I mean,
Well,
I would agree, but there wasn't any clinches in this fight.
yeah, it's not really up to the judges. Like if it's not part of the scoring criteria, they would have to write that into the rules. But it would be an interesting addition. Like if one guy's trying to clinch too much, it would cost them the round, I guess. I'm a fan of clinching as a Muay Thai clinch instructor, but in the context of boxing, it can be boring because all they do is just hug each other. And there's like a little bit of dirty boxing, we all know the tricks, the Floyd Mayweather headbutts in the clinch and etc. But yeah, it can be boring. There's just too many rounds in boxing. Mark Fellows says, when we were kids, I still use PS today. Apparently, so does Nate Diaz. And he's my age, so I guess we're all in the same boat here. This is the old folks MMA hour. New show title.
Speak for yourself.
Hey, you're not far behind here.
Yeah, I know. I popped my foot trying to triangle somebody.
Yeah, when I'm in a wheelchair, you only got like 3 years left.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk some fights, shall we? Is the first fight on the main card the Julian Erosa?
Nope. Cody Brundage.
Oh, Cody Brundage and Abdul Razak Al Hassan. I like this fight. Cody Brundage coming off of the loss to Bo Nickel. So he's really going to be looking to redeem himself here. I know he was really disappointed in that performance. And Abdul Razak Al Hassan is a guy who came into the UFC with so much momentum. Judo Thunder, as they call him. And he's been real hot and cold. Only 2 wins in his last 7 fights or so. 2 wins in his last 8 fights. Sorry, I stand corrected. So he's coming off a loss to Joe Pyfer. So both of these guys coming off of losses to Ginger Hype Trains here. So they have that in common. What are the odds here? I would think. Wait, before you tell me, I like to guess sometimes. I would think Al Hassan maybe would be a slight favorite.
Yeah, Al Hassan's minus 170, opposite Cody Brundage 142.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's about where I would put it. I would maybe put him at maybe minus 120, somewhere in there. But who are you going with? Who's the pick?
I'm going with Cody. I mean, Cody's a very good wrestler, but he gets hit a lot. Abdul's got some heavy strikes, but he gets taken down a real lot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the wrestling here with Brundage.
Okay. You don't think Brundage will go out there and try and strike with him?
I mean, it's possible, but
I agree that he shouldn't. But
yeah, maybe especially with this, what happened with this last fight. I don't know. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I like it. And you got the underdog money on it. Okay. Julian Erosa, who I don't think has ever been in a boring fight. Veteran of The Ultimate Fighter. He was actually on season 22. And I only know that by heart because he was on the same season as our buddy Billy Quarantillo, who Billy and I had the same barber who I visited today. So there's a lot about nothing. But Julian Erosa getting in there with Christian Rodriguez. And Julian, if anything, is a guy who plays spoiler to these young and upcoming guys. He kind of derailed Hakeem Dawodu, submitted Charles Jourdain when he had a lot of hype behind him, knocked out Nate Landwehr when Nate the Train had all that hype. But then also kind of loses like winnable fights. But Christian Rodriguez coming in here, and he is 11-1. and I'd say about half of his fight experience is in the UFC. 4-fight win streak. I imagine he's got to be not a hefty favorite, but probably a pretty sizable favorite.
Minus 218.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it would have been somewhere in that ballpark, like not as big of a gap as minus 300, but yeah, minus 218 sounds right on the money. So who do you like in this one?
I like C-Rod here. He's fighting up what I think is his real weight class this time. Rosa's only edge to me is experience. But this won't be on my bets. I'm going to double up on a different bet later.
Okay, so you're picking Rodriguez, but you're not putting any money on it.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's moving up in weight. I think the experience is going to be a factor, and I think I'm going to be saying that again as we continue to break down this card.
Yeah.
But let's move on. So Gabriel Bonfim getting in there with Ange Lusa. Am I saying that right, or did they change how they were saying it the last time?
I don't know, Bill. I was going to say Ninja.
I seem to remember John Anik talking about how they changed how they were pronouncing it, but I'm going to stick with Ange Lusa. So I would think Bonfim is probably a slight favorite here, even though he's coming off of the loss.
Big favorite, minus 325.
Okay. Is that the biggest favorite on the main card?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he did get TKO'd by Nick Dalby in his last fight. And Ange Lusa hasn't fought since March when he got poked in the eye by Brian Battle. And there was that whole controversy where a lot of people, believe he was faking it because he was kind of getting pieced up by Brian Battle. But this is a very different fight.
In a very different location.
Yeah. And Lusa is a guy who, when he starts kind of creeping into the top talent, seems to have trouble. The question is Bonfim a top talent? If he is, he's probably going to make quick work of Ange Lusa. But if he's not, I guess we're going to find out.
I mean, I kind of disagree. I think Lusa has some stuff going for him in this fight. It's in Denver. The last time Bonfim got tired. And Lusa's tough as hell. Like, he's a big, strong bastard. Like, So I'm going to take Lusa here, but at plus 260.
Okay. And how do you see him getting it done? You think Bonfim just gasses?
I think Bonfim's on a gas at somewhere in between 1.5 and 2.5, and then Lusa will be able to do what he wants. I mean, not what he wants, but I just think it starts going downhill.
Interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Lusa's mental state is after coming off of that fight with Brian Battle, where he was just basically getting manhandled. But if he can shake that off and put the pressure on Bonfim, then yeah, I think
I got some fans, Bill.
Yeah, Rogue Strummer. We got to start making Matt the Mechanic shirts now. So get your merch rolling out. He says, I agree with Matt. Lusa outpaces him. All right. Well,
and I guess that should have been a
this is your Mr. Jackpots pick?
Not really. I got another one, but the sound clip wasn't queued up right.
So is this the one you're doubling up your dollar on?
No.
Okay. So we just got a buck on Ange Lusa then.
Yep.
All right. Drew Dober getting in there with Jean Silva, who's having a real quick turnaround, isn't he?
Yeah, well, week and a half. Oh, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, I mean, he only went a round and a minute with Charles Jourdain in his last fight. And, looked good. But again, this is another big step up in competition here, and on short notice. Drew Dober, ever since he ran into our buddy Matt the Steamroller Frivola, has been a little hot and cold. He bounced back with a nice TKO over Ricky Glenn, but then lost a decision to Renato Moicano back in February. Man, I would think the odds would favor experience in this one.
Nope. Silva's favorite, minus 112. Dober
Wow.
plus 108.
Okay. So slight favorite.
That's a pretty good favorite. But I'm going to take Silva by knockout, and this is my
Mr. Jackpots.
That's my jackpot pit for the week. It's plus 185. We're going to double up. Dober's got a lot of experience. Super nice guy, but he fights recklessly. This guy and this kid's from the Fight Nerds. They're becoming my favorite gym. I think Dober's the fight's gonna end the same way that Frivola fight ended.
So you think it's gonna be a slugfest and John Silva's just gonna have the cleaner strikes in there?
Yep.
All right. Interesting. So you're throwing $2 on that one?
$2.
The old $2 pick here. All right. Co-main event. I like this fight. Santiago Ponzinibbio and Muslim Salikhov. Ponzinibbio was a guy who back in like 2016, 2017, around, the beginning of MMA on the Rocks, this guy had future champion written all over him. And then he had that big gap in his career after the Neil Magny fight, came back and got thrown to Jingliang Li, and then has just been hot and cold ever since. He's coming off the knockout loss to Kevin Holland in April of 2023. So another long layoff, 37 years old now, and getting in there with Muslim Salikhov, who has also been hot and cold since losing to Jingliang Li. So, I don't know. Does this want to pick him?
No.
Salikhov's a favorite?
No, the opposite. Ponzinibbio is a minus 162 favorite.
Wow. I am not picking him correctly.
I mean, maybe I'm not writing them down correctly. I don't know. Yeah, no. It's changed a little bit since I wrote them down, but
okay.
Now minus one. Ponzinibbio is a bigger favorite.
I mean, I didn't realize that Salikhov was 40 years old. That's a horse of a different color now. So, yeah, 40 years old at welterweight is that's pushing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Ponzinibbio here. The only way I see the king of kung fu winning is by some weird combination. I don't like guys that throw that shit.
Yeah, and Ponzinibbio is, stays pretty tight. Yeah, both of these guys are, unfortunately, whoever loses this one is probably going to be a knockout loss, and it's probably going to be due to too many miles on the chin.
You think so? If I change it to Ponzinibbio by knockout, I can make it plus 165. So we're going to do that.
All right. Ponzinibbio by knockout. That's where the buck's going. The buck stops there. All right. Rose Namajunas headlining in her home state of Colorado against not Maycee Barber, but Tracy Cortez, who steps in on a few weeks' notice here because Maycee Barber was injured, let's say. But, I believe she's part of my new conspiracy theory that fighters are popping under this new drug testing company, and that's why we're seeing so many main event fighters pull out of fights. It's been quite a bit lately. So here's the case of, and this has been the last few fight cards where, you know, a young and upcoming fighter is just taking too big of a jump up the ladder. And I really think that's the case here. If we see the Rose Namajunas of old, this is going to be a very one-sided fight, in my opinion. It's just too much of an experience gap, I think. Even though they have a similar amount of fights. You know, Tracy Cortez has 12 fights. Rose Namajunas only has 18. But of those 18 fights, she's fought in main events. She's fought championship fights. She's been the champion. Yeah, I think the gap's going to be too wide. And I imagine Rose is a favorite here.
It's not I mean, she's a pretty big favorite, minus 225, obviously, plus 185. I'm really kind of pissed off at the UFC for making this fight. I like both of these ladies. I get they call Tracy up. She can't pass out. Hey, you want to make an event against Rose? Like, you can't say no. But yeah, I agree. This is too much, too fast. I mean, and then it's, you know, she trains in Arizona. Now we're going on a short notice to Denver, hometown. And then the only way that Cortez is going to win is by taking her down and make it kind of boring. And is that what you want to do in your first main event? Like, you want to go out there and try to strike, and it's different levels.
Or finishing her. And Tracy Cortez has not finished a fight since September of 2018. So all of her wins in the UFC have been by decision, including her win on the Contender Series. And including her win over Erin Blanchfield in Invicta. And yeah, that's a great point you made about Rose lives in Denver, so she's used to the elevation. And Tracy's path to victory is taking her down and holding her there for. Is this going to be a 5-round fight?
Yeah, it's main event.
Yeah, but sometimes they adjust it in the contract if it's a last minute. But assuming it's a 5-round fight, Rose is going to have a humongous advantage there. So, are you taking the favorite here?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So, just to recap, do you have a method of victory?
No, but as far as DraftKings goes, there is 5 rounds.
Okay. What are the odds on Rose Namajunas by submission?
Straight submission is plus 800.
Really?
And then it goes bonkers when you get into individual rounds. But
so just random one, 4th round submission.
4th round, Rose plus 4,000.
Interesting. I might be
pays 41.
I might be throwing a couple of bucks on that.
You know, I'll let you take the $1 in that fight because it's not going to make much, and we'll just do Rose to win by submission round 3.
Okay.
You are commandeering the $1.
All right, I'll commandeer the $1. Watch, it's going to be round 2 or something.
No, that's a risky take, but.
Okay. Let's see. The rest of this card, not a whole lot going on, but Jasmine Jasudavicius, who I think is a fun fighter to watch and also has a loss to Tracy Cortez, is going to be fighting the undefeated Fatima Klein. So that's going to be an interesting one, in my opinion. I also like Luana Santos and Maria Agapova. I think that'll be a fun flyweight matchup. And then kind of a good sleeper fight, Josh Fremd and Andre Petrosky. Could be a total dud, or could be an actually pretty interesting grappling exchange in that fight. But it could also suck. So that's all I got my eyes on.
Yeah.
Oh, we
Did you
got
see
Charles
the?
Johnson fighting on this card as well against Joshua Van. Flyweight matchup. But I got to say, out of all the fights on this card, I'm probably looking forward to Julian Erosa, Christian Rodriguez the most.
For some reason, I'm excited to see what Cody Brundage does. I don't know why.
Al Hassan is a scary dude, man. I don't care what his record says. That's just,
Yeah.
he's just like an intimidating guy. He's so explosive. You know, you really got to be on top of your defense when you get in there with that guy and really weather the storm. And that worries me. But overall, I think this is going to be a fun card.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm looking forward to it. I will be in Atlanta ingesting this card. So, and this is on ESPN.
I'm sure.
Yeah, UFC on ESPN 59. So it's going to be on TV.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Did you have some news or anything?
I don't have any news. It's just 2 fights were added to the Paris card that are pretty cool. Matt Favola versus Faris Zayim.
Yeah. If I had it in front of me, I could read it. But yeah, let's say that guy, that French guy.
Some French guy, but it's always good to see Favola fighting. And then Benoit Saint Denis versus Renato Moicano.
Ooh, that's an interesting fight. I did not hear about that one. I knew about the Favola fight, obviously, because I follow Matt Favola on everything. But I didn't hear about Benoit Saint Denis and Renato Moicano. That's a really interesting fight, actually.
Yeah, it's cool. I like that one. Renato he's killing it.
Yeah, I mean the dude's a killer. I mean his last fight against Jalen Turner, he looked great. You know, he was able to deal with the range and the lankiness. And yeah, we're gonna see how Benoit Saint Denis bounces back. You know, we're gonna see what he's really made of after coming off of that huge knockout loss to Dustin Poirier. And with all the pressure of fighting in his home country.
Yeah, I always wonder if that's I guess by numbers it looks like it's not a good thing, but it's got to be easier to fight at home.
It could be, but then, you know, you got people hassling you for tickets the week of the fight, and you end up doing a lot more media. There's just more pressure. You know, all the local media wants to talk to you. That takes up your time. It takes your focus off what you need to do. I think that tends to be the problem a lot of guys have. But we'll see. You know, some people thrive on it. So we're just gonna see if he's one of those fighters or if he's one that kind of buckles under that pressure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm glad that the UFC's back. I enjoy a week off, but it's fun to get back and watch the fights.
Yeah, it is kind of nice when there's a night like, oh, I'm not like obligated to watch anything tonight. Which is also why I didn't watch the Nate Diaz fight, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna take this weekend off.
Yeah.
Just kind of enjoy a weekend at home. And yeah, I'll be watching this one in Atlanta. And I'm looking forward to this card. It's gonna be fun. So let's see. Again, if anybody has any recommendations about the Atlanta area, I'm also looking for a jiu-jitsu gym to possibly pop into and get some rolls while I'm up there. So if anybody has some experience, or if anybody listening is from Atlanta, and you know of a good jiu-jitsu gym where I would be welcome, let me know. So leave a comment or message me on social media, and we'll see. I always used to, whenever I traveled, I always used to pop into the local gyms. I've trained at a gym in Denver, Colorado. It was Kamal Easton's in Denver. I went and trained there. Great people there. They smoke a lot of weed before they train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's Denver. Yeah, that's like one of them. So I always stress to people, you got to go cross train, especially in different. If you can't do it, across the country, do it at least in your city or town. But yeah, I mean, and you'd be amazed at how many like cool people you can meet, like people you would think, I went and trained. Well, you can't do it anymore, but I've trained at Top Team, and you just meet like all these UFC fighters, and you're like, oh crap.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a lot of fun stuff, and that's also where you get to see what your game's all about, if it works or not. If you're like working on somebody that's totally different style.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of cross training as well. When I used to travel for work a lot, and I would travel on my own, it was easier to just kind of pop into gyms. But now I got a family to consider. When it's like, oh, I can sneak away. The class is only an hour. Oh, but it's 20 minutes away from wherever we're staying. And then it becomes, 2 hours travel time, and it gets harder and harder to sneak away. But, I am throwing a rash guard in the suitcase, and hopefully I'll meet some cool jiu-jitsu people in Atlanta at some point.
Well,
all right.
Fun.
Thanks. Anything else you want to get off your chest?
Nope.
All right, if you guys want to get some MMA on the Rocks merchandise on your chests, you can do so through our friends at Team Reaper. Reaper1.co is the website. As always, individual links are in the show notes on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching. The links are there for the t-shirts, tank tops, and hoodies. You can use the promo code MMA Rocks 10, save yourself 10% on your order or on anything on the website. So, UFC on ESPN 59, UFC Denver coming up this Saturday at the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. Rose Namajunas against Tracy Cortez. I'll be watching. You'll all be watching. And that's all we got for now. So until next time, cheers, everybody. Goodbye.